I want to share with you 7 skills that are incredibly hard to learn, but when you learn them, they're going to pay you massive dividends as an investor. Now, recently I was thinking about this through my journey now of being in business for almost 2 decades and being involved in hundreds of different investments and deals, and how I built my private equity firm. There's some certain skills that took me a while to learn, hard to master, but really do pay off dividends. So I wrote a list. I want to give you a couple of them. I'm going to give you some obvious ones, and I'll give you some ones you probably haven't thought of as well. So one of the first skills you've got to master if you're going to be someone who's an investor, an entrepreneur, right, is the ability to learn how to sell. You have to learn how to sell. When I meet so many entrepreneurs that are, they're what I call talent entrepreneurs. They're very good at what they do. They know their skill really well. Like, let's think about something easy. They're a painter and they paint beautiful portraits, but they don't know how to sell their stuff. So no one really gets to know what they're all about, and they never really get to the height of the results they want to have in their business. So you've got to learn to sell. You have to learn to sell. You have to learn how to be able to sell. You've got to learn to be able to do that. I came up in sales, so I learned that as my skill set when I went through the corporate world. It didn't mean it made it easy for me as an entrepreneur, because there's a bunch of other skills that you need, and I'm going to mention some of those that I didn't have and I had to learn. So number one, or in any order, there's not really an order here, one skill you need to learn is absolutely you have to learn how to sell. The second thing is, and this maybe you haven't thought about this, but it's really critical if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to be an investor, you've got to learn the skill of self-promotion. You've got to learn that if you don't put yourself out there, then you're never going to get seen and heard. And look, for me, one of the benefits of me building a brand has been I'd be able to partner with people, I'd be able to work with people and meet people from all walks of life that might be more difficult if I had to put myself out there. Now, don't get me wrong, the very first time I did a video like this, I was terrible. I didn't know how to stand and hold my hands, and I was just nervous as all hell, but I had to learn how to self-promote. And actually, I was doing an event years ago, actually probably almost 10 years ago now, right, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he said something, I actually want to remember this exact saying. He said, early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise, right? So advertise yourself. Early to bed, early to rise, work like hell, and advertise. It's one of his famous sayings. And you took a lot from that, right? And this is a guy that knows how to self-promote. So you've got to learn the skill of self-promotion and just put yourself out there, learning how to, put videos out there, putting content out there. But self-promotion is a skill you need to master. It can be harder to get because you've got to go through all of the fears and doubts and everything. I get it, but you've got to learn it. Third skill, self-discipline. Self-discipline for me is about the discipline to do the things you need to do in a consistent way until you get the results. And that self-discipline to eat the right food, the self-discipline to get your list of what you need to get done right every day and do that. Your self-discipline to get up at the right time and to meditate every day, or to be able to have those hard conversations if they need to be had in your business. So that self-discipline of looking after yourself and treat yourself like an asset is really a big skill that can be hard to learn, but it pays a lot of dividends. Number 4, negotiation. This can be hard to learn because the difference between sales and negotiation is that sales generally, and people will try to argue this point, but it's a fact. Sales generally, you're trying to sell your product or service to somebody else, you get paid money, and most of the time you don't see them again. In most industries, you don't really see them again, and that's just how it works. Now, negotiation, you're trying to put together a deal that generally means you have to work with somebody long-term. And if that deal goes well, you can build other deals. So negotiation, a sale will say, oh, it's about creating a win-win, but really they're trying to sell a product or a service. And yes, you try to create some level of a win-win, but in negotiation, you need to create something that works for them and it works for you as well. So learning to negotiate in a way that makes sense to you, and learning how to be able to have those conversations with people, because you can't influence somebody unless you know what already influences them. So you have to learn those questions, and how do you question someone right? How do you help them work out their objections and then overcome their objections themselves. All that stuff you need to work out. So negotiation is definitely one of my fourth ones. Fifth, and this one I sucked at, the skills you need to learn that are hard, but it's going to affect you as an entrepreneur and do help you a lot, is finance. You've got to learn how to read financial reports. There's 3 reports I promote and I talk about. 1 is your profit and loss or your income statement. 2 is your balance sheet, and 3 is your cash flow statement. Learning about finance, how to read those reports and interpret those, is a skill that can be hard to learn, but it's absolutely imperative if you're going to do it, right? The next one, I think it's my 6th now, right, is the ability to lead 3 different types of people. 1, staff, so people that are in team, and how you lead them can be a bit different to the second and third. So how do you lead and motivate team members? Second, leading leaders. It's a different way because they have to go out there and lead other people. So leading leaders. And then third is leading business partners. So people that you don't pay a salary to, but are a partner in a business with you. That's a different sort of leadership. So learning to lead can be a difficult skill. And when you think about those 3 layers of kind of team and then leaders and then like partners, like equity partners or business partners, that's more of a challenge, right? So learning to do that can be more challenging, but it pays dividends. And the last skill that's hard to learn, but it will help you as an investor, an entrepreneur, and that is the skill of being uncomfortable with financial situations. Being uncomfortable with money, that you're doing a deal and it's going to kind of, it's not as, you don't have the money to do it, or you try and put something together, it kind of stretches you. Being uncomfortable, learning how to operate when you're uncomfortable, when we don't have the money to do everything. You don't have the money to do this. You don't have the money to do that. And if everyone only operated on their financial comfort, then most people wouldn't go out there and build great things, right? So learning the skill of being not becoming comfortable. That's the thing. Learning the skill of dealing when you're uncomfortable around money, learning that skill, and learning how to be and act in times of being uncomfortable around maybe not having all the money that you want, or everything lining up, or having gaps between deals happening, and cash crises. Learning how to be uncomfortable around finances, on big money coming in and also on big money going out. That's a skill to learn. 7 things that you need to learn that are hard to learn, but they will pay you a dividend as an entrepreneur and as an investor. If you like this, let me know in the comments. I'd love to share more with you about how you can do this and how I have built my empire, got known as Mr. Empire, and how I've helped 700,000 people around the world now to build their empires. I'll see you soon.